Leadership development really isn't for everybody. Not everyone is cut out to be a leader. Some really want to be, they're passionate about learning, but they don't even have the basics. So the Leadership Essentials Playbook is specifically for emerging leaders. Those folks who are new to a leadership role, but they do have direct reports and are learning how to lead others instead of just themselves. Oftentimes, the same organizations that invest in these emerging leaders realize, holy cow, my senior leaders have never had some of these basics either. So senior leaders both find benefit from these techniques themselves, or at least by understanding what their direct reports are implementing so they don't interfere. Whatever the case, this is not for high potentials who have no one to lead yet. It's like learning something and not having time to practice. It's never going to stick. So you want to wait until someone does have leaders who can actually practice the things that we're going to teach them. We're really excited about the Leadership Essentials Playbook. It's been around for decades with us, but we've evolved it and fine-tuned it through the years. And now we're at a point where we know it benefits so many people in the organization, whether it's emerging leaders or senior leaders. Everybody can learn a little bit more about some tips to get more out of their direct reports without making them or their direct reports crazy. We're often asked, why can't we just do a lunch and learn? Or can't you come in and just do a one-day workshop and be done with it? We could, but it's not going to stick that way. And you know what it feels like when you send people for training and it's like lighting dollar bills on fire. The fact is, we finally learned that after elementary school, nobody actually learns from lecture or just repeating themselves. It needs other things like practical application to become really sticky. In the 70-20-10 model that we've adopted, only 10% of the time is actually used for structured learning, whether that's in a workshop or it's instructional video or some other means, but only 10% of the time. 70% of the time is practical application. That's where you're trying to use it and figure out what works and what doesn't work. And 20% of the time is getting feedback on what worked, what felt clunky, so that you can go back into the 10%, learn a little bit more, go back and apply it, and that becomes iterative. That's how we make it stick. So we have two different approaches, one individualized and one for a group cohort. If we're doing a group cohort, we need at least 10 people to go through it. And let me tell you about the differences between the two. In the group cohort, everything starts with self-discovery. So there's a suite of assessments so everybody understands where they're starting before they launch into some development. When we go into the development piece, there is a full day workshop where everybody comes together. It's very interactive. And then they have a full month to try putting it in place. After that month, they meet again with the same senior advisor who took them through the self-discovery for a one-on-one coaching session about what did work, what didn't, what are some ways to tweak some of the techniques that they learned. There's another half-day workshop, and then another period to try it out, and finally another coaching session. That's for the groups. When you have an individual going through it, the individual has a 6-month program. The first one is the same self-discovery, and then each month there are going to be different leadership practices, sometimes one, often two, but at the end, there are going to be 8 leadership practices, including empowerment, feedback, development, one-on-ones, job scorecards, performance evaluations, goal alignment, and succession planning. So by the end, they will have those things mastered enough that they can move the organization forward. And when everybody is leading with those same techniques, transferring from department to department, get everybody pulling in the same direction becomes much, much easier. Sometimes we're asked whether or not we can sometimes substitute different leadership practices for the 8 that we have as standards or customize it. And the reality is not really. We know those 8 are basics and they interrelate with each other. They're often dependent on each other. So if we pull 1 or 2 out, the rest of it may not stand as strong. Sometimes, on rare occasions, we can customize a little bit, like when we're talking about performance evaluations, we can bring in an organization's own personalized tool to incorporate into that portion of the plan. So how do you know whether to do the personalized or the group? A lot depends on whether or not everybody is available to come together in one place in person for the group, and you need to have at least 10 people. If you have more of a dispersed group, and getting them all together is almost impossible. The individualized is much better. If you have a small group, say 3 or 4 people, they can watch the instructional video together and then still have their one-on-one coachings with their senior advisor who can meet them where they are on their leadership journey and tailor it specifically to them. The individualized is also great for organizations who have invested in the group session and then they hire or promote another leader or two who hasn't had the benefit of it. They can go through the individualized one to catch up on the very techniques everybody else is using. You're probably wondering how much all of this costs. Well, prices do vary, of course, but for the individual program, it's generally about $5,000 for the entire 6 months. This includes all of the assessments in the self-discovery for the participant, all of the assessments for each of their direct reports, all of the instructional video, and the coaching for all of the 6 months. The group approach depends on how many people you have in it, of course, but generally it's less expensive per head than the individualized because the facilitator is doing it all at once. Most organizations see an immediate benefit when all of their leaders are working from the same direction in their leadership practices. It increases the performance of the organization, it takes engagement to another level. Why not see if this much more logical approach to learning doesn't make all the effort and money you invest in your leadership development far more sticky?